Today we're going to talk about two new knives from a company called CJRB. Now, if you don't know who they are a sub-brand of Artisan Cutlery, and they've been making some of the best budget knives you've ever seen over the last couple of years. Genuinely the best, and I'm not just saying that. I'm not the only one. The price points and the materials and the fit and finish are some of the best that you can find. Now, that's a lot to do with the steel that they are using, which is an in-house powder metallurgy steel, AR RPM 9. So that's one part of it, but it's not the only part. They also tend to make very, very good actions on their knives and just the quality control and fit finish. They've been nailing it every single time. However, I will say there's one thing about this knife, and before I even get started, there's one thing about this knife that kind of holds it back from being the Pyrite V2. In other words, the knife of the year. I think that, well, let me get to it. First of all, the action is great, right? Sub 3-inch blade, great stats. In fact, here are the stats right here. I like the thickness. I even like the coloration for this one. And this knife actually has a proper forward finger choil, and it's comfortable in both grips. Comfortable in reverse grip because it's neutral enough. It's going to be very versatile. So I like the grind, I like how tall it is, and compared to the Pyrite, I actually prefer this handle and this blade shape. So well done. All of that is great. One problem. It's a crossbar lock. It's a crossbar lock with a cutout, and the cutout is sitting below the frame. You can see that. It's hiding in the frame. You can barely get your thumb in there to flick it, and I've had trouble doing it at times. And even if I do the reverse flick, it's not easy, and I think most people are going to really struggle. There is a really good reason why crossbar locks and similar locks that aren't crossbars but do kind of the same thing all have thumb studs, and that's because the tension against that pulls in the blade takes a while to disengage, and you need to be able to follow the blade as you go. And that's easiest when you can push it forward. And it doesn't matter whether it's the shark lock or a crossbar lock like these, or the clutch lock like this one. It's all kind of the same thing. Now, I know they want to differentiate themselves, right? They want to do something different. This was not a good idea because even more so, more so than this brand, there is actually a larger distance to travel on this knife. Like right there is about the tipping point. Think about how far this blade has to pull out in order for it not to get sucked back in to the frame. You need to be able to put pressure on it nearly the entire time or all at once in order to do that. You can see me by pushing it forward right here. I'm able to sort of get that, but it takes a lot of force and you can slip off of it pretty easy. That's why people usually use a thumb stud. That's what's holding this knife back from being the next big hit after the Pyrite. I actually think that in many ways this is better than the Pyrite is, with that exception. Had this had a thumb stud, my goodness, it would have been so good. In fact, I think they could probably retroactively create a thumb stud that fits here, that kind of clips in somehow, and I think that that would also work as well. And then you would have both a cutout down here and a thumb stud. Turn lemons into lemonade. That's what I would suggest they do. Other than that, my goodness, what a great knife. This is very, very, very good. I like the grind. It came very, very sharp out of the box, as it usually does. And they've really nailed their heat treatment on AR RPM 9 at this point. So they've really got it down. Great fit and finish just overall, and they have the nice skeletonized liners all the way down on these as well. Now the other knife, which is a Ray Lonico design, you can kind of tell the handles are very indicative of his designs, is a little bit better. You can see that the cutout is definitely exposed, but it's the same fundamental problem. It's okay at doing this, but you have to be more deliberate about opening it. And not everyone is going to be as practiced or as good with it as I am. I mean, I try to make this look a little easier than it is because I've given these to plenty of people and they've had trouble actually doing it. And so I think having the thumb stud is really important on this knife as well. And that being said, I think I might even like this one better. I just absolutely adore clip point blades. And this is definitely one of those. Although some people will call it like a drop point. I'm calling it a clip point, but hey, there you go. And I like the action. The action is amazing on this knife. Once again, reversible pocket clip, G10 with hollowed out liners, the whole shebang, and AR RPM 9 steel. Exactly what we hope for and expect from Artisan Cutlery / CJRB. And in this case, it doesn't have a forward finger choil, but it does have a nice flat area, so you can definitely choke up if you wanted to. Great knives. They're just missing thumb studs. Both of these knives desperately need thumb studs. I know they want to be different. It's not going to work. You really need to be able to do that, because when you talk about button locks, which disengage a lot quicker, or liner locks or frame locks, you know, they all have nearly an instantaneous release of pressure. So you don't have to deal with the need for thumb studs nearly as much. That's pretty much all I got to say. Great knives, absolutely fantastic knives. They're just missing that one thing. Even then, maybe you still consider it, depending on the pricing. And maybe I can find a thumb stud that will just strap in here, and I know they exist, and we'll try it, and maybe that will fix the problem. Just my thoughts. Let me know what you think down below. And also, what do you think of this color combo? Like it or don't like it? As always, thank you guys so much for your time, and we'll talk again soon.